Congresswoman, thank you for joining us. Tell us, please, why do you want to be mayor of the fourth largest city in America?
Because I will be the futuristic mayor. I believe that this is an international city without question, but our definition has been around many other things. We're an economic engine. We have an enormously diverse and international community. Yes, there are issues that I believe I can immediately address, from permitting to infrastructure to flooding to issues dealing with housing and the homeless. But what Houston needs is a redefinition. The chamber is part of the redefinition, the Hispanic chamber, for example, in its wide breadth of business. I'm part of the U.S.-Mexican exchange, parliamentary exchange. I've been dealing with Mexico and South and Central America for all of my congressional career. I know the players there. I want to make sure that we bring those businesses into the United States for investment. I know there's a lot of shopping going on, but I believe that we can have a mutual reciprocity dealing with the issue of investment. And I want to make sure that we do that, as well as Europe, as well as Africa, as well as Asia. Let's invest in Houston. So I'm a futuristic mayor. I believe I can solve problems, and I also believe I can bring the city together.
You mentioned roads infrastructure. What's your plan to fix that?
It's a combination. One, of course, is not to ignore federal dollars. They will be in circulation up until 2025, 2026. Houston needs to get their direct payments fair share. Knowing the leadership in Washington, having a development and grant officer in my office, we'll work very hard to get those dollars in. At the same time, there is budgeting for that. I'll have a smart budget. I'll work with our capital improvement plan to generate where it is needed. There are neighborhoods that are older that need to make sure that their streets are rebuilt for the very first time. I will make sure that is the case. We have to look for more revenue sources. I'm not ready to deal with the revenue cap in terms of increasing it before I listen to the voters and listen to my colleagues on city council. But I will make it a priority and use the resources we have. I will target the older neighborhoods and work your way back, as well as do a scientific analysis working with the Army Corps of Engineer, Harris County Flood District, because part of the reason our streets are like that is because our propensity for flooding and the porous soil that we have.
So the Houston Hispanic Chamber recently partnered with the University of Houston Hobby School for Public Affairs, and number one on things that people here in Houston want the mayor to focus on is solving our crime issues. What's your plan?
Well, crime should never be diminished. Anyone's hurt should be elevated to the point of saying, we care. I will be the mayor that cares. But I will say to you that crime is an epidemic across America. But my plan is already working. What is my plan? I've been saying it since I began this race. We will have a database targeted policing. We'll have smart policing. We will not have police community oriented policing. We'll have police community relationships. We will go into the targeted areas where there's high crime. We'll have major visibility. We'll have lighting, and we'll clean that area up. We will not tolerate violent criminals on the street. It worked because it's working in Midtown. Police Chief Fenner, who I'll work with, announced it yesterday that they went into Midtown after those incidences at those 7-Elevens, that's not their name exactly, and now they see some success. That individual has to bring his business back. So targeting areas, I'm interested in restoring and bringing back the neighborhood storefronts. I think those are very effective. I'll be using Department of Justice dollars for violence intervention. I'll be working with federal law enforcement, ATF, get those guns off the street, out of the bad actors. So the gun trafficking, I'll ask the federal resources to be able to help me. I have partners in Washington. I'm the only one that knows Washington up and down. I'll make sure that Houston gets every cent that it needs in order to build us back, in order to be a safe community. Let me just say we'll also take care of our victims as well. I brought in almost $1 million to be able to provide relief and help to our victims of crime. I want less of those, but when they are victims, we need to help them.
You mentioned your relationship with Washington. A lot of the voters believe that our tenuous relationship with Austin has cost Houstonians a lot of money. How do you believe that? And if so, how would you work with the governor to repair that relationship?
Well, I can assure you that governors who have great relationships with Washington, their states do very well, and I want Texas to do very well. I've had great relationships with George W. Bush, obviously, Ann Richards. I was not in the United States Congress, Governor Perry, and I worked with Governor Abbott during Hurricane Harvey. In fact, with Kevin Brady and myself, we brought in a major investment for small businesses under the Sandy hurricane model of $250,000. I'm not hesitant to do what I have to do as a leader of this city. I will meet with Governor Abbott in the very beginning. He has an obligation to govern all of the city. I don't like his policies, but I do believe that he has to be responsible to this city. And I will work with him where I can work with him. And I will also work with direct funding from the federal government to the city. But he benefits from the economic engine that Houston is. And I want him to know that Houston is one of the guideposts of this state and generates an enormous amount of dollars and prestige. We should be working together, and I will not take a backseat to doing that for this city.
As we close, what do you want Houstonians to know about Sheila Jackson Lee?
Well, first of all, I'm a mother, a wife of 50 years. I love this community more than they would ever know. I have been in the hot spots of this community when they've needed me. Every hurricane I've been in place and provided federal funds. Every bayou I've had an impact on. I take a great deal of pain when something happens to our officers or firefighters. I want them to have the best quality of life. I want our city workers to have the best quality of life. And I want young people, as I spoke to a group at the University of Houston just recently, students, I said, when you finish, you are so dynamically talented. I want you to stay here and live here. I want housing to be affordable. I want rents to be affordable. I want you to have a vision about either being an entrepreneur or being employed in a major new developing business. I want this to be a tech city. So what I want people to know is that I care. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. But I also believe in the next level for this nation and for this city is, frankly, to be a key international city in this world, in this nation. That is Houston, Texas. It's not a Paris. It's not a Madrid. It is Houston. It's not a New York. All of those persons want to come to Houston, Texas, because we pop.
What do you love most about our city?
The people, the neighborhoods. I used to get teased in Washington because I would stand on the floor and say, Houston is a city of neighborhoods. It is eclectic, and I will elevate these neighborhoods, tell their stories so they feel good about where they live.
Congresswoman, thank you and all the best.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.